This is an analysis of transactional leadership compared with transformational leadership in an international school and how it affects teacher job satisfaction and practice. The types of leadership practiced in school settings influence the overall effectiveness of organisation, staff relationships, and work performance. I will be assessing the value of transactional leadership in my own experience teaching in an international school, comparing it with other forms of leadership such as transformational and distributed leadership, and analysing effects on teacher job satisfaction. Evidence has shown that various styles of leadership strongly influence emotions of teachers and subsequently their practice. The level of devotion and loyalty demonstrated and applied by employees to an organisation heavily depends on the style of leadership a manager applies. In a collaborative work environment, groups of teachers are accountable for generating a community of education, delivering the curriculum to enable pupils to make links in their learning across disciplines. I want to evaluate the significance of leadership styles and how one or a combination of approaches influence the individual, team, and ultimately success of the organisation. Leadership style has a huge impact on the level of organisational performance and on the learning of students in schools. It is therefore crucial to recognise and reflect on types of leadership within and analyse their effectiveness on staff performance, school ethos, and pupil progress. The advantages and disadvantages of transactional leadership in the workplace. My experience working in an international school has been heavily influenced by a transactional style of leadership, whereby it is task-oriented and results-focused. A benefit of this approach is that it is goal-driven, a quality that many schools and places of work practice in order to achieve targets and higher success rates. Transactional leadership in practice relies on an authoritative style that focuses on productivity without the direction towards empowering, motivating, or inspiring the team, thus driven by reward and punishment. Consequently, it is often too dependent on procedure and routine and can be closed to innovative solutions from staff members to work towards the same outcome. The negative connotation between rules and transactional leadership implies that perhaps there is a wider scope for positive change in transformational leadership. Although the transactional approach to leadership may seem more rigid, a results-driven system could be more effective in creating productivity, clear-set expectations, and essentially unanimous goals for the organisation. In my experience under transactional leadership, the responsibility of a task is assigned wholly to the employee, rather than a shared task and consequently a shared responsibility. An advantage to this approach is that one is held accountable for their individual actions and effort, rather than those of others who may not have shared the workload equally. It could therefore be argued that transactional leadership acts as a facilitator to encourage and inspire staff by engaging them with their own self-regard, a crucial part in strengthening employee commitment. This style of leadership also appeals to the competitive nature of the employee, which, although may create a divide or opposition among staff, is likely to produce more successful results. Although results may be affected positively, my experience of transactional leadership is that staff feel a strong sense of disconnect and disassociation with school management, rooted in the lack of communication between senior leadership and teachers, alongside the constant expectations of high-level monitored work performance. Nevertheless, it seems that a hierarchical system encourages more accountability in the employee, resulting in higher work productivity and dedication due to interest in personal development and recognition. Transactional leaders are goal-oriented and assertive, meaning that they are more driven to use definitive advantages for employees' work and affiliation, rather than appealing to the higher-level inherent and academic needs. As the responsibility is placed on the worker to produce results, a strong and more individualized sense of liability is generated. This, in theory, leads to a fairer outcome, whereby the rewards given under transactional leadership are earned and justified. Bass outlined 4 aspects of behaviour of transactional leaders as a barrier to creating a supportive working environment: contingent award, active management by exception, passive management by exception, and laissez-faire leadership. This highlights a clear set exchange system between tasks and rewards, micromanaging staff through close supervision and performance analysis, a lack of knowledge about problems until communicated by others, and the evading of making decisions. An analysis and comparison of transformational leadership. One study found that head teachers with a transactional style of leadership who used a reward-dependent system were less effective when compared with transformational characteristics affecting teachers' incentive to assess pupils. This underpins the nurturing aspect of transformational leadership in affecting motivation and engagement from staff. However, although teachers may have less incentive to assess pupils under transactional leadership, tasks must still be completed under either approach. Furthermore, since transactional leadership, in my experience, does not consider the needs of the employee as much, there is little scope for resistance or negative attitudes. Transformational leadership, argued to produce higher levels of satisfaction in workers, can be characterized into 4 aspects of behavior: intellectual stimulation, individualized consideration, idealized influence, and inspirational motivation. This means leaders nurture talents and skills, support and understand individual needs, influence and inspire high-level ethics, and display positive attitudes towards performance beyond expectation. Transformational leadership, according to Bush, is something likely to be welcomed by leaders more than staff, but has the possibility of becoming authoritarian. It could be that leaders are more open to the idea of transformational leadership because roles and therefore responsibilities are distributed. However, this runs the risk of sharing equal accountability whilst not sharing equal titles, status, or pay. Another disadvantage might be in the encouragement of collaboration and subsequently spending more time planning and discussing rather than having clear objectives and tasks. Distributed leadership has been evaluated as beneficial to schools in an operational and strategic nature, providing personal benefits to both head teacher and staff. It would appear that a difference between transactional and transformational approaches lies in the teacher-centred or results-centred goals. The results of one study found that teachers who experience participation and collaboration in the process of decision-making feel a strong sense of self-assurance and empowerment in constructing a cooperative, formal learning environment based on mutual trust and respect. Transformational leadership and distributed leadership focus on empathy, teamwork, and motivation, whilst transactional leadership is more concerned with statistics, tasks, and results. Perhaps the most crucial balance is a midpoint that relies on the head teacher's ability to effectively balance the unity of both transactional and transformational leadership styles, resulting in more success and potential of a school. An analysis by Maheshwari highlights the differences between both styles of leadership, suggesting that transformational leadership benefits teachers' job perception, salary, and rewards, whilst transactional leadership negatively impacts school culture and job perception, a significant factor in teachers' job satisfaction. The behaviour and style of leadership is a significant factor contributing towards job satisfaction, and a caring approach positively affects this. One example of transactional leadership practice in an international school is the rapid acceptance of pupils without considering additional needs and academic ability. This increases the number of students in the school and has a positive impact on the school's image, meaning that the organisation appears more successful and gains financial advantage. If this process was conducted under transformational leadership, it may be that staff would be asked about decisions and collaborate on the advantages and disadvantages of bigger class sizes and whether appropriate support is available for the child. It is cases like this that suggest transactional leadership is more beneficial to the success of the organisation as a collective rather than individual pupils and teachers. The significance and effectiveness of both transformational and transactional styles of leadership seems to have direct correlations to teachers' happiness in the workplace. In my current experience under transactional leadership, it would appear that job satisfaction is secondary to success rates, suggesting that this approach achieves or is at least more focused on higher results. Particular styles of leadership influence job satisfaction, which may have an effect on the wider organisation. For school management, job satisfaction of teachers influences teaching practice, administration effectiveness, and quality of the workplace, whilst for the individual employee, job satisfaction influences motivation and psychological health. It would appear that, on the surface, transformational leadership is a more collaborative, empathetic, and team-based approach to working as a teacher, and this is likely to have a positive effect on teacher satisfaction. However, it is significant to note the effect, if any, this leadership style has on results. Bush concludes that although classroom practices may be influenced by transformational leadership, pupil progress is not.